I think setting up front, getting an upfront agreement, if you will, as to what's going to happen is important. And it prevents you from having to put little signs around the house 2 days till vacancy is, or 3 days before you're out of here, you know.
Right.
Non-subtle hints like that don't work that well for some reason. I don't understand that. One of the things that I always look at is in terms of the length of stay is how far did your guests travel? And what mode of transportation did they take? And then what's their age? The elderly, you know, you kind of want to give them enough time to recover and recuperate for the trip coming in, and then getting, you know, enough time to spend time with you and some time for them to prepare to go out. So you have to kind of put all those factors into how you set those boundaries.
Right. And just in a good conversation, we'll just have, hey, what are your expectations of this business? Hey, what would you like to do? Would you just like to relax, or would you like to go out? Or, you know, you can do that on a daily basis and fill them out on a daily basis. Or you can make, you know, long-term plans, you know, days out, and it just helps. Having that understanding and having your boundaries are very important. Another thing to understand and to come to grips with is, what do you want? Because that's important. It's important too. And when you know what you want, it helps to form those boundaries as well. And there needs to be a kind of I guess kind of margins that you have to set. This is something that would be ideal for me, and this is the worst case scenario. And so you kind of bargain towards your ideal, but you have a little flexibility that if it goes one way or another, kind of before or after your ideal, you can live with that, and you just kind of adjust your mind. And but it's important to know what you want out of whatever situation that you're getting, and then you have a starting point based on what you want. Oftentimes, people are not sure as far as to what they want, and everybody's trying to feel around for what they want, and so there's oftentimes a lot of confusion and frustration that comes because we're kind of making it up as we go.
Yes. And there are three things I always share with couples if they're inviting guests over from either side of the family for the first time. Key number one is be hospitable. Be as kind and gentle as you can.
Absolutely.
You know, the Bible teaches us that and so forth like that. So that's key. It doesn't matter what type of home you're inviting them into, how lavish it is or how simple it is, people love to feel welcome. And the second thing that kind of goes along with that is be yourself. Be down to earth. If you know you go to expensive restaurants every day, all the time, don't take them all the time every day to an expensive restaurant, because when they come back, they're going to be expecting that same kind of treatment.
Right,
so, you know,
right.
If your normal fare is a little bit of a nice restaurant and a little bit of a fast food restaurant, stay true to that. If your normal fare is, you know, we do a couple of things in the house and a couple of things away from the house, be true to that. I think that's important.
Absolutely.
And then to hit on something you said earlier, I think the third thing is you're not just representing yourself, you're representing your spouse when you interface with your loved one. So even if it's your folks coming in, don't allow them to disrespect your wife. Don't allow them to make your wife feel uncomfortable in her home. Try to understand how to corral those differences, and that can be tough sometimes.
Yeah, and you need to consult your wife as far as that, because she has a brother or sister, and they're used to, and it might be a little coarser than what you're used to, but she's okay with it, and you can jump in the middle of it. You know, sometimes that can be awkward unnecessarily. And, you know, you need to have what her comfort level is, more so than what your comfort level is, you know, unless you know the background where they have abused her and that's something that she's healing from. You need to kind of weigh those things out. It's funny that even when you talk about being hospitable, in some cultures, some people feel that it's charming to insult other people. It's just kind of that they think that they are a comedian or whatever, but you kind of want the Bible tells us to avoid coarse jesting, and because we're not as charming as we think we are with our with talking too much and saying coarse things.
That is so powerful. And there's really no need to make the holidays a stressful time, because one of the things that you learn is, hey, you guys are going to be married longer than just this upcoming holiday. Learn to manage it, learn to navigate, learn to use these principles. But most of all, get, as Pastor Rice said, get an understanding, get an agreement, because that goes a long way towards heading off a lot of these things. Well, Pastor, as we get ready to conclude this segment, I want to leave you with, before I close this out, do you have any final word of wisdom you'd like to share with us?
Holidays are supposed to be a beautiful time, and we're supposed to remember that that for the believer, it's not Turkey Day, it's Thanksgiving, and we surely have a lot to be thankful for, and no matter where we find ourselves in any given year. We always have much to be grateful for and thankful for, and the fact that Jesus came to die on the cross for our sins, and that he was born, and that he did that to himself on our behalf. I think if we remember what it is we're celebrating, oftentimes it makes it easier for us to sacrifice, and not just in giving gifts, but in giving the best of ourselves, especially to our spouses and also to their families.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I hope this podcast has been a blessing and has given our listeners an insight to help improve their marriage. And I'm Dave Jenkins, your host. I help couples to move from frustrated to fulfilled, from isolated to integrated, from hopeless to hopeful. Are you ready for a change in your relationship? If you are, I'd love to work with you as your relationship coach so that you can reconnect, recommit, and rekindle your relationship with your spouse and with Christ. You can reach me at www.coachingforcouples.com. That's the number 4. Or you can call me at 469-626-7750. And as a reminder, we're live each Monday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And we'd love to get your questions, hear your prayer requests, as well as your praise reports. And the number to call, is 712-432-3066. and access code 176127. And if you have a topic that you'd like for us to cover on an upcoming podcast, email me at dave@coachingforcouples.com. Thanks for listening to the Marriage Monday podcast, where we help you to reconnect, recommit, and rekindle your relationship with your spouse and with Christ.